The first source I've been able to locate to describe Palestine's Arabic-speaking inhabitants as Palestinians is actually James Finn, who is the British consul in Jerusalem. And in his 1870 memoir, he describes the Arabs of Palestine as Palestinians. You also have a number of American and German sources in the 1880s and early 1890s who also are using that term. The first Arabic source I've been able to find in which an Arab of Palestine is using that term, Philistini, to describe people of Palestine is Khalil Bedas in 1898. The second is, as I already mentioned, Najib Nassar in 1901. And the third is Salim Kubain, who also publishes an article titled A Palestinian Describes a Palestinian Town, also publishing in that same Alexandrian journal in 1901. And I think when you look at the backgrounds of these three individuals, they all went to the same high school. That's quite an interesting coincidence, if it was in fact a coincidence. Of course, I don't think it was a coincidence. The school that they all went to was the Russian Teachers Training Seminary in Nazareth, which opens in the mid to late 1880s, I believe. If you look at the curriculum and you look at what they're teaching in the school, it's pretty obvious why these are the first people to identify as Palestinian. They're probably studying with books of history called The History of Palestine. They seem to be using geography books called The Geography of Palestine. There's evidence to believe there were maps of Palestine circulating in the schools, perhaps hung on the classroom walls. They're also taken on trips around the holy sites of Palestine. And so they're taken out of their home environment in this environment where they're being able to explore new identities. They're being taught about the history of Palestine, the geography of Palestine, the holy sites of Palestine. In addition to all that, they're being encouraged to wear Arabic dress rather than Western dress, and they're being taught Arabic literature and Arabic language. So they're being taught to embrace their own Arab Palestinian identities. Lo and behold, these are the first people that start to call themselves Palestinians. Of course, it's not just the Russian Teachers Training Seminary in Nazareth. There are many, many schools around Palestine that are teaching with similar books and using a similar curriculum. I would point out the British St. George's School in Jerusalem being another one of these. There's a French school in Jaffa that is probably teaching similar things. There are Ottoman schools that are also teaching similar things. If you look at the Ottoman textbooks that were used in Muslim schools, you find similar things. They're using geography books with the maps of Palestine in them. They're using history books that have sections on the history of Palestine. There are Ottoman maps circulating in the Ottoman schools, which explicitly refer to Palestine on the maps. So I think this is very clear evidence that you start to see a Arab-Palestinian identity emerging in 1880s, 1890s, 1900s in Palestine among both Muslims as well as Christians and question mark Jews. And we can get into that. It's not obvious Jews identified as Palestinian. It's definitely possible. But anyways, I would say late 19th, early 20th century, Muslims and Christians start to call themselves Palestinians for the reasons we just discussed.